Hey guys, what's going on? Monday market breakdown. We are looking at the markets and they are looking very, very, very nice. So starting off with the DXY, we can see that the DXY has come into its value area, but it's not in the best value area yet, so there is still momentum where it can still push higher. We do need to also understand that there is the possibility that we can stay neutral here, where this can work towards this low or even continue to the downside, but there is the possibility that this becomes something larger and does fill this 1, 2, 3 and then potentially start its way down. So this is a very interesting area to be in. However, it's an area I'll be extra patient with because a lot of things can happen, especially with how we're moving away from it. If we look at it on the 4-hour time frame, even though that we do have a push away from this, call it a retest area, we can see that price did push away but in a corrective manner. Now, when we're looking at it on the hourly, even though the corrective manner is a little bit sharp, it's still corrective overall. We are forming a larger continuation, which is also something which is somewhat negative compliment to me at this point, because I'm not looking for larger, so I'm looking for a very strong push away and then something a bit larger. So for that reason, I do truly believe that there's a strong possibility that the DXY could be going bullish. However, we have to also understand that there is this possibility of head and shoulders, where when we look at it, we can see that we have this, and the possibility is that we've come up, we've created the left shoulder, head, the right shoulder slightly angled, and then we push through. That's also a possibility. So that's why one of the reasons I would say quite neutral on DXY at the moment. There could be some good bear momentum coming into the market, but I wouldn't really personally be looking to get into a trade in this area, only because of we don't really know if this is what it is yet until we see some commitment. So it's not too late. There's still quite a lot of the run to get involved in. There'll be quite a number of opportunities on the way down once we do have it, and we'll see that correlating with the US related pairs. So that's basically it for my outlook on DXY at the moment. It is looking pretty good. Looking at the JP225, as forecasted, we are looking at potential for a head and shoulders as well. It is a very premature forecast. However, sometimes these are the ones that keep you very, very sharp. So we have to understand that, looking at this now, we do have this sort of corrective squeeze here, and now we're getting that push above. And if we get a push down and a right shoulder, which in some ways is the same as this, then that's where I'll be looking to get into the short play. So, if we can get something similar to that size over here, even if it was a little bit higher, it doesn't matter. As long as we can get that in correlation to the higher time frame, we're in a good value area for that short positioning on the JP225, and I'm sure we'll see a lot of momentum coming into the market for the Japanese related heads. So JP225, it is a time where you have to be extremely patient with it, because we are in a very good value area. These are the times where it can take a week, 2 weeks, maybe even sometimes a day, but we just have to stay sharp and keep monitoring it. The next one we'll be looking at on the watch list this week is somewhat different, because we do have some indices in there, and we do also have commodity. In the watch list, we're looking at the US 500 now. The thing with the US 500 is we are on the higher time frame. We are in a very good value area. We've tapped into this inflection point. We haven't tapped into this higher value area, but we've tapped into this near one here, and we've retraced from it, which somewhat is still very valuable. Even though there was a small inflection point there that didn't get tapped into, that's somewhat irrelevant. It's more so important to understand that, yes, there was a near miss to this high over here. However, we do have the sort of retrace over here, which I think is extremely important to understand. Going on to the 4-hour, we are seeing the push down and the correction over here. The question some might ask is, why would you not take that? I would be more inclined to take it if we were up here in this trade, and I would be looking for that trade. However, I'm looking for more commitment on this. So once this does potentially play out, if we do get that strong push and a continuation down here, this is where I'll be looking to get involved. I'll be much more happy positioning myself down here, because it would be a lot more safer, in my opinion, than taking a trade up here right now, where this can just, it can become its own little there's many possibilities what can happen. It can even just trickle its way up and keep going. So many possibilities. So I don't want to just get caught up in the price here and take a loss which I could have prevented. Moving on to the Germany 40. Germany 40 is actually quite phenomenal. I'm actually waiting for a position as we speak. The only negative confluence, in my opinion, which isn't a big negative, it's just a negative, is that we broke above, but we broke above with a bullish candle. The retrace hasn't yet come in on the daily. On the weekly, we're still quite bullish. I'm looking for some sort of turnaround. If we look at it on the monthly as well, great bullish momentum and very positive movement. So, going off by that, I am looking for the RO3 push down flag just because of the impulsive approach. So we do have somewhat corrective approach in the 1 hour, but if we look at it from the 4 hour, we do have impulse and just a small sideways continuation, but we are kind of moving down quite aggressively. Same with the US 500. This does correlate quite close to it. If the US 500 starts to pull back, we'll see similar movement with the DAX. But what I am looking at is push down on the flag, something in this region like this. And yeah, if we just get a push away, we create some high down at this low. As well, we're looking to get involved, but at this point, I'd stay sharp because this is looking interesting. I mean, on the hourly, there was a phenomenal little retrace here. Didn't quite want to take it personally, but that's basically it. And then this was the price zone to take it. In terms of the risk rewards at the low, there was enough to manage it. To this low, not really. So for that reason, I didn't want to take it. And I would have probably been sitting for a bit of drawdown until we come back to the current price now. So yeah, it just comes down to preference in that case. I am looking for the push down on the flag essentially. Ideally cleaner on the 1 hour, but if it's equal spacing on 15, I'll go for it for sure. But at the moment, we just have to see how price develops. These two could easily go off watch. Quite a few pairs here could easily just be removed from my watch for this week. But I've put them on just because there's a strong possibility that they can turn around and they're in a very good valuable area. So for those reasons, that's why I put them on there. The next one is GBP yen, which we've been monitoring last week. I do want to kind of show you a trade that I did take, which I think it's a pretty good position in my opinion. So if we go to the higher time frame, what we can see over here is that we are coming to this sort of value area here, but we cannot ignore that we had this value area where it pulled away and then we started correctively moving towards it. As we approached it, we had a pattern within a pattern, so we did tap into it, sell off, and then we kind of M-starred back to it, so we kind of expanded in that nature, and creating this where we kind of squeezed all the way back up. We can see that on the hourly, as we approached it with a 1, 2, 3 expanded pattern, which works as a continuation or a reversal, but in this case it works as a reversal. It looks for the retrace. So I guess I wouldn't have taken it if I wasn't up in my account. If I was up, I would have probably left it and waited for a push and a flag, which I probably wouldn't have gotten at this point. However, because I was up, I was able to just take in confidence, more confidence, and we had equal space. We had 1, 2, 3. It's not a typical trade I would take all the time. Yes, it is in my plan. However, it is one that I think comes with a lot of discretion, and I think it was because of the confidences we had was the reason why I took it. And then we took it, and I was aggressive with management because I've got relative drawdown on one of the funding accounts I'm using, and it's running 3.76, and then basically just got tagged out. More than happy with this trade because looking at it now, I don't think I would have been comfortable with running way back up to about 1.8. I probably would have closed after taking, roughly around about 2%, and then, what would I gain from that really? So yeah, this is pretty good. So all I'm waiting for now is a push down on the flag. So let this corrective price, let it break out of this. If that push down is a little bit more, it's even better. I just want to see it kind of clear this price, and then once it's cleared that price, I want to see it continue from the downside. That's basically what I'm looking for. Nothing more. Keeping it very simple with that, and we'll just see how it goes. I think with New Zealand yen, same situation. It's just I think it needs a bit more time to develop. It's not really giving me as much commitment. So it is what it is. There is a potential for a trade in here, but it's not the one I want. We have this sort of left shoulder head, right shoulder feeling to it, and then we've got this sort of expanding, which I think is quite nice. And I think that's a very nice trade in itself, but I just didn't opt in for it. I just thought, not for me. But, once again, someone might have taken it. If you did take it, I'd love to know why you took it and what kind of triggered you on that button. I think, there's a lot of little conferences there. I think we didn't quite need this though as well. Just about, but yeah, there was quite a few things. USD yen, I think USD yen is in its own merit right now. I think we just need to give it some time. I'm waiting for that push down flag, quite similar to a lot of the trades you're going to be seeing on my watch list this week. Just essentially waiting for that commitment down. Give me some sort of flag down there. Could be a little bit larger than this, and that's it. That's what I'm looking to get forward. And we've got CAD where I think you've got the 1, 2, 3. It hasn't quite completed this at all, so this is on my soft watch side of things, but I put it on my watch list because it's with the yen pairs. This could surprise us. It could really, really surprise us, but at the same time, I want to see it push back into this low, and then I want to start looking for continuations to the downside. However, this can form its own ending structure as well, so we have to understand that. This may not be the end of this correction. We have an impulse, we have a large correction, and then we may get a massive impulse following. So there'll be a lot of opportunity. That's why I don't want to rush this. Once this goes, it will go, and there'll be a lot of opportunity. And structurally, CAD is one of the nicest ones to trade. Personally, I think it's one that gives you a lot of opportunity. Sometimes the last touch doesn't quite meet, but you read between the lines and you get a better understanding about how this works. But yeah, I mean, it's up to you at the end of the day what you want to trade and how you trade it. So essentially waiting for that push down flag. And then moving on to the wildcards. Wildcards, once again, we met a value area, not the value area, but the US 100. So what we'll see is if the US 500 starts to sell off, the US 100 falls. This may be something where I see the US 500 sell off, giving no opportunity, but the US 100 may be consolidating, vice versa, and I may be able to capitalize. It also links in with the DAX. So these three kind of work together. The reason why I didn't put it on my watch list was because I had so much other on the watch. This could easily made it to a watch list, but at the moment I just would like to see it break below and go for that. I think it's the impulsive approach as well that's somewhat leveled it off to get this point. Weekly candles, monthly candles, they're very, very bullish at this point. So what do we know about these indice pairs, especially the US ones? They do have these tremendous bull points. So don't want to be just trying to pick the market and say, we've hit a value area, take a short. I definitely want to be sharp, because going bullish on these pairs is so much better than going short. The short is very, very dramatic. We get these sharp impulsive movements when we sell. However, when we are moving up, we are structurally gradually moving, where I think learning to trade those are very, very valuable as well. So that's basically it for US 100. I think it needs a bit of time to develop. I've also got silver on. Silver's one that I've taken a few trades on over the years. I think it's an interesting one for sure. I'm looking at this 1, 2, 3 spacing. We kind of came into this area here. We get near miss. It is what it is, but we had an impulsive push away, which I like. Waiting for the continuation pattern to fill this. This has a possibility to play out well. I just need to see 2 tops, 2 bottoms, and then I'll be ready to take the trade. It's going to be a larger flag, so obviously it's going to be sharper. I am looking for a 4-hour entry. I think some may opt in for the hourly entry. If we get a pattern with a pattern, for sure, it's scaling. But 4-hour I think is more than enough for this pair as well. You can easily take in a decent sized position, especially with the size of the run involved. If you took in a 26 position with a 4-hour candle, you'd still be in for a decent sized position to this low. Even managing it to this low, pretty good. That's basically it there. And then I think USD Swiss as well could have easily made it to my watch list as well. We've tapped into this value area, pushed up the left shoulder head, come back in, and now we're creating the right shoulder, I believe. Have to understand that we can set up and not create this right shoulder. We don't have to, but there's a possibility. So definitely have to learn to read between the lines here. I would like to see this extend, kind of tap into the left or push above, and then sell off. So that's what I'm waiting for. The
left shoulder to be tapped into equal to, and then when we do reach with this over here, we tap into it and push down, create a flag. That's when I'll be learning to take position. So that's one of the reasons why it's on the wildcards, because I think it needs more time to develop and it may not be the structure that I'm looking for. However, I do want to stay sharp. And then we have Euro New Zealand dollar. Now, Euro New Zealand dollar is something of a larger structure down here. This does make this a little bit more creative. I was looking for something slightly different. It does look a little bit like a middle section for this to continue for one more push low. So that's something I'll also be aware of. What I was looking for was just essentially a solid push up, flag, and continuation. We didn't quite get that. So at this point, I think it just requires being a little bit more patient, wait for price to break above these levels, evaluate how we break if we start creating a small type flag, maybe I'll be able to get involved. It may be easy in this trade as well, but it's one I'm definitely going to stay sharp with. And then last but not least, it's New Zealand Swiss. New Zealand Swiss, if this comes out to be the middle section and we do create this 1, 2, 3 into this high, this is what I'm looking for, because we have a beautiful two-touch sharp pull away. We haven't quite tapped into it just yet with the nearness to it as well, creating that middle section, which is obviously something that I really do like about taking these particular type of trades. And then I'm looking at just essentially just filling that gap. If we can fill that gap, oh my.
Honestly, if we can fill that gap, it's going to be phenomenal. So that's literally all I'm looking for right now, is just evaluating price to see how we can do this. And perhaps maybe a retracing up there. Probably not. Push down, flag, I'm in. Could we see that towards the end of the week? Most probably. If we get an impulsive approach, we're still waiting for a push down. So we'll have to wait and see, but keep it on watch every morning, every evening. Just see how it develops. I think it's a couple days away now. So for me, it's probably a Wednesday, Thursday trade, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, that's basically it for my wildcards watch list. I think it's looking good for this week, to be honest. It's kind of a slow beginning to the week, but we have to be sharp because things like the DXY, the Germany 30, they can turn around quite quickly. You know, like we are in that area where we're looking for entries, especially on GBP yen and the Germany 30. The US 500, not so much. New Zealand yen, so you can see that I filtered them into the red list now, where they're my main focus. Obviously, this is the least of my worries. I think this is one of the ones that's kind of soft to watch. USD yen, even though it's not there yet, it can just quickly push away and it will be there. So that's one. Same with New Zealand yen, but especially GBP yen. If GBP yen does get that commitment, that push in that flag, 100% I'll be involved on that risk entry, reduced risk entry, have to be evaluated at the time, but I'll keep it as a reduced risk for now, and then we'll have to wait and see. And then I've got the Germany 30 there. Germany 30 may not give you the clearest entry, you have to understand that as well. Germany 30 sometimes is quite notorious, but eventually it will give you some of these clean entries. Clear on a higher time frame usually. Something like this, for example, you can see it right here, and then you reduce risk, for example, you could have taken that on the break, had your stops just below there, and you could have, perhaps maybe you would have not let this pull back so much because you would have run about 4% position, so you could have been taken out of the market around about here. But had you not locked in anything, not seen the market for a few hours, it happens. Round to around about almost 7% position, most probably you'd be out of the market by now. Really and truly probably be out around like 4.5. So for me, if that was my trade, I think in terms of protection, at least about 2.5 locked in for sure. So probably with relative drawdown, you'd be more aggressive. So I think relative drawdown is teaching me something as well. I think I do like this more aggressive method sometimes because it's kind of just forcing you to remember, like, hey, you need to lock in your profits, keep your profits locked in, take as much out of the market as possible, wait for the next. And I think keeping that attitude and being very aggressive like that may be more beneficial in the long run. However, I have been very lenient on some trades in the past and made 21%. So, but those trades come very, very rarely. They come as much as you see in the blood moon. So I think it really does come down to, I think, aggressive trading versus
patient trading. Patient trading and waiting for trades, of course, that is trading. But I mean, in terms of management, I think the relative progressive method is the better way. I think I'm going to have to tweak my management plan because it's definitely teaching me something. Look, for example, GBP for sure, I'd still be in the trade right now, maybe, but I've walked away with some profit and now I'm just waiting for the next one. I got the market around about here, 3.76. Some people might have got the market over here. Some people might have got the market over here. I kind of got in quite aggressively. I think it comes down to personal preference. It's everyone's different one. But anyway, this was the best trade of last week. We did have a few trades. I can't remember what they were now, but GBP for sure is definitely the nicest trade of last week. Definitely played out to be very well. Nice and positive movement. We're having a bit of a corrective squeeze too low though, so that's the only negative confluence at this point. Can we get that push through and that flag? That's all I'm really focusing on, really and truly. But we have to make sure that DXY as well, sorry, not DXY, Germany today, DXY as well has a very similar sort of nature to what's going on as well. We just have to wait and see how this plays out. So many good value areas across the board with all these pairs, so we'll just have to wait and see how they shape up. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will catch you in the next video. Take care.